Hey everybody, it's Billy Watkins.
I'm Zach Pearson.
And I'm Mackenzie Crigger.
This is the Premier Power Hour podcast.
That's it.
A very special part 2 episode.
Yeah.
I feel like we should do previously the
on,
Premier
yeah.
Power Hour podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talked to Mackenzie about her coming to Premier as our sustainability manager.
Yep.
We talked about composting and solar ovens.
Yeah.
And some of the things that Premier has done to become a more sustainable organization.
Yeah.
And I think we ran out of time.
We
was so much there.
We didn't even do what's in the box. We just signed off. Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of good stuff there that you should check out. We have her back because it's a huge topic, and we are not the expert.
No. We're glad to have an expert.
We are thrilled to have an expert. And so wanted to touch a little bit more on what Premier is doing, different things that we have, different agreements we've made. Yeah. That kind of dig into the weeds there. Now, where we are, this location in Louisville, Kentucky, is on kind of a special site. Getting this building made required a few more steps than other construction projects. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that relates to sustainability?
Yeah, absolutely. So the site that we're on here today, where our headquarters and our Louisville distribution center is, it's what we call a Brownfield Site. Okay. And a Brownfield Site is a special designation because some sort of environmental contaminant has happened on the site. The former occupants of this site were pretty heavy into chemicals, and so they had a few spots where chemicals had leached because of improper hosing, and when those chemicals leach, they end up in the groundwater. Part of what happens then is that you don't really want anybody or any organization living or working on top of that site, because there are a lot of environmental hazards that can come that can come up, and you can have some human health impacts that are not great. So our manufacturing facility is just down the street, and so this was a prime location, but it really needed a lot of work in order to actually make it somewhere where we could safely have people live, or not live, but work. And so we spent several $1 million, and it was a partnership with the former owner and Premier, and we spent about 3 years doing remediation projects here. And so there were several wells that were on the site, and we did tons of water testing on those sites and did several water projects to clean up the water that was already sitting in those wells and in that groundwater. Okay. We still regularly test that groundwater, but all the wells have been closed except for 2. So. And part of that process now is that we actually do rainwater collection here, and that water is processed through a filtration site so that we make sure that anything that comes off this site is as clean as water that would be falling from the sky.
Okay.
And part of what makes that so special is that this area, it would have just been dead space.
Yep.
It would have been space that was not usable. It was
in the middle of a fairly industrial area.
Exactly.
Where space
is at a premium and it's expensive. And so, the fact that we were willing to commit to making sure that not only is this building safe and healthy, but that anything that comes onto this site when it leaves is also safe and healthy.
That shows amazing commitment.
Yeah.
If everybody did that sort of stuff, right, we'd probably be in a different spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Fix it if it's broken. Don't just leave it.
Don't just be like, I'm walking away from this, it's not my problem.
Right. Which unfortunately is sometimes the attitude around sustainability, but it's glad that it's not the attitude here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did a lot of really great things when we built this building. We were able to reuse concrete, and concrete in and of itself is incredibly energy and carbon intensive. If concrete were a country, it would generate the 3rd most carbon emissions in the world. So, being able to reuse concrete is a huge sustainability benefit. So our parking lot is now made from the concrete that was recycled from the building that was here previously. We did a lot of really great things in just terms of energy management for this building. It's insulated in such a way so that we don't actually have to cool the building in the summer. Our warehouse staff can work and be comfortable and not be overheated. Even though we have the ability to cool that whole building, we don't need to. And so that drastically reduces our environmental footprint. And as a result, we're in the process of pursuing an Energy Star certification, which is a certification for buildings that operate at an optimal energy level that the US EPA will award. So
Very nice. It's like my fridge.
We can
Exactly.
testify to that.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, you can film podcasts in the warehouse.
We did.
and not sweat terribly.
Fully suited, yes, absolutely.
You were in a suit.
I was in a suit, yeah. I can attest to that, yeah. So getting Energy Star, we're getting those certifications. Are we getting other certifications? Are we? It's nice to talk about everything. I think greenwashing is a term that I've heard before
Yes.
of, hey, we want to act like we're sustainable, but we're not really. We just like to like the look of it.
Yeah, let's get the label on there.
How are we not greenwashing? What are we doing? How are we putting our money where our mouth is? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the recent commitments that we've signed is the Amazon Climate Pledge. And with the Amazon Climate Pledge, you're required to do 3 things. One of those is regularly report your greenhouse gas emissions. So we do report scopes 1, scopes 2, and scope 3 for our greenhouse gas emissions. And through that process, it's a lot of data collection, but being able to utilize that data helps us make better decisions. The other piece of that commitment is that we have to commit to being a net zero carbon company by 2040. That's actually 10 years sooner than the Paris Agreement. But any organization that signs on says, this is something that we're committed to. We're invested in figuring out how to make this happen. And one of the great things about being a part of the Amazon Climate Pledge is it gives us a lot of resources that ordinarily we might not have access to. So we can work not only with other packaging companies to see how they're tackling problems, but we also have the ability to work within our own value chain, upstream and downstream, to help not only us reduce our carbon footprint, but help our suppliers and our customers reduce their carbon footprint. And when we're all able to make those concerted efforts together, it has a great multiplier effect. Right. And you get some real great economies of scale when you're able to join and work together as part of a coalition.
Huge companies.
Yeah.
And it's going to take that kind of coalition to make a difference, right?
Yeah. It's not enough for individuals to decide that they're going to be energy efficient or that they're going to recycle. You really have to have it on a large scale in order for there to be really good achievable progress.
Yeah.
So for companies of our size, how are we doing? I mean, do you see us as a leader in sustainability?
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many things that this organization was doing. When I was hired, I didn't need to come in and build a sustainability program. What I needed to do was come in and catalog the things that we were already doing and leverage the things that were great and help us problem solve for the things that weren't so great.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when you say to be carbon net zero or carbon neutral, there are certain aspects of society and what we do that there's not an alternative for a carbon emission. So if I'm kind of just doing a math problem, if that's a +1, what are things that we can do to make that a net zero? What are things that can be reduce, be a negative to bring us to that? Because I think there's probably other people out there that, follow the leader. What are we doing to help do that? So, and I don't know what those would be.
Yeah. So when you think about trying to achieve carbon neutrality, things around purchasing renewable energy for our headquarters or putting solar on our headquarters.
Got it.
Those types of things can drastically reduce our energy consumption and our carbon footprint. Where it gets to be a little bit of a challenge is around things like transportation. So long haul trucking, long flights. So at that point, it becomes really important to start figuring out where can we buy carbon credits.
Okay.
And for us, we like to think about it in terms of like trying to localize those carbon credits. So if we're trying to offset transportation emissions that are associated with our manufacturing facility in Louisville or our distribution center in Indianapolis, then it becomes really important to understand what are the carbon credit opportunities in those locations so that we're actually able to not only contribute to better air quality, but we're actually contributing to the local environment and improving what's happening on the ground where those emissions are actually being emitted.
Yeah, so explain a little bit about what a carbon credit is if we're doing that locally. What do I get for my carbon credit?
I feel do they have carbon credit scores?
Your carbon credit score.
Do they match?
That is a great question. I never thought about it that way. I don't know that there's necessarily a carbon credit score, but there are certainly much more reliable carbon credit issuing institutions.
Okay.
And so, when we purchase carbon credits or when we investigate carbon credits to purchase, we're really looking at those reliable, industry tested areas and organizations where we actually get like a piece of paper and it says, this is what your money got you. You have preserved X number of forests, or you have contributed to the preservation of X number of swampland, and it's good for a year. So like we have to do it every year. You know,
Got it.
Yeah.
And we use that to help offset other stuff.
Exactly.
That isn't as
Yeah,
okay.
so
Swamps are extremely effective at capturing carbon.
They are hugely effective. They get a bad rap, but they store a lot of carbon.
Things that I learned.
So thank you, Florida and New Jersey.
Exactly. Exactly. The best things in both those states, the swamps.
The swamps.
So besides, I mean, Climate Pledge is a huge one. Are we part of any other organizations, or are there other things that we're doing where we've, staked our name, our reputation on it and said, hey, we're joining this as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we also are members of the Sustainable Packaging Coalition.
Okay.
And the great thing about the Sustainable Packaging Coalition is it really is focused on packaging. So it gives us the opportunity to interact with a lot of our industry peers, and it also gives us the opportunity to really understand some best practices.
Okay.
And it pulls a lot of information together that we might not necessarily think about, but it puts stuff on our radar that it's like, oh, this new technology is coming, or this new product is out, or this new legislation is coming,
Okay.
and it's really going to impact how we do business. The great thing with the Sustainable Packaging Coalition, additionally, is that we have the opportunity to set goals within that organization. They have 8 different goal categories, and so from 2 ways. Not only are we able to set our own goals, but we're also able to see the goals that our customers or our potential customers or our suppliers have set. So we know where to find alliances and how we can really help people meet their strategic sustainability goals as well.
Do you find that, is it a question 5 out of 10 of your customers have? Or, is this all information that they care about? Or some of them, do you push it from your aspect?
I'd say that it's something that I touch on in every client meeting that I have. Sustainability kind of as a topic, it's one of the things that when we're going through the list of things that matter, they will sometimes bring it up, but what I find more often than not is that when I bring up the topic, it's always we would like to do more of that, but we just don't know how. And the biggest thing is, but is it cost prohibitive? Like, am I going from, 4 cents a bag to 20 cents a bag? Well, that's not going to work for anybody, No. So how do we go around? How do we go about being sustainable through not just the material, but other means and different processes?
Yeah, and so that, to your point about, 4 cents versus 20 cents, like absolutely nobody can absorb that kind of cost increase. Like it's not going to happen. So if we're looking at a solution that's not a good solution. So we really have to think, okay, is it providing smaller packaging so you can get more shipments on a truck? Are you providing a different type of packaging? Are you going from what used to be plastic packaging to paper packaging? And maybe there's a 3 or 4 cent increase, but if you're living in a state or selling in a state that has an extended producer responsibility requirement, you may be paying a 10-cent tax on every piece of plastic that you sell.
That's a good point.
So if you're able to, it's going to increase your cost, but you're offsetting this cost in this other way. So it becomes really important to be able to talk to folks about, yes, sometimes there is going to be an expense, but here's how we offset it. Here's where your return on investment is. This is what this decision gets you.
Yep. Yeah, those conversations about the ROI are critically important just for any sale. But yeah, there's the great thing is that it's not just one product. It's not just one shift that says you must do this
thing. And a lot of what you're talking about, it's not like it's costing us. It's not a huge investment to do some of these things.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Like, some things have a really quick payback period. Lots of times if, changing from LED lighting in a factory can reduce your energy consumption by 75%. And then other times if you're putting solar, you're looking more at like a 10 or 15 year payback.
Do we have solar?
We do not.
Okay. I was just wondering.
I don't know. We're exploring, so we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the this is just a question, just pitching to you. What's the best one out there? What's the most efficient of the
alternative energy?
That's it. Thank you. I was going to ask for a lifeline.
Alternative reality packaging.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
But between wind, solar, I don't know what else is there. You know?
Again, it kind of depends on where you live. So in Kentucky, it's a great spot for geothermal. So, so using geothermal in Kentucky is incredibly effective. It's incredibly cost effective, and most geothermal systems will actually outlive the life of a building.
Yeah.
So, when you build a new building, that geothermal system is probably going to last for 50 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're just digging really deep, and you're using the constant temperature of within the Earth's crust to.
Yep.
Seems like that would be a no-brainer just for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're, but like
But-
residentially, they're kind of expensive up front, right?
Yeah,
But they-
residentially they're expensive up front. But where you live in Phoenix, solar is great.
Oh, yeah.
You've got sun all the time,
All
pretty
the time.
much.
Yeah,
all the time.
I've seen like I feel like I saw it. Maybe it was a meme. It wasn't accurate, but there was like it showed a map of the world and it showed two places where solar is always great, and it was like Phoenix and then the Sahara Desert.
Yeah.
It's basically those two bright spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, constant sun.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, unfortunately, with a lot of sustainability decisions, it's it depends question. So, if you're in Texas, you've got tons of turbines, and wind power is really great there. But yeah, again
So there's
it's just-
so basically there are alternative fuel options pretty much
Yeah,
everywhere.
everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, and you just got to pick which one is best suited for you.
to your
Exactly.
locale,
But
yeah.
you have options.
Yep.
I think that's important to know.
It's a very weighty subject, right? Make me feel good about it. Should I be worried? I'm glad I don't live on the coast.
Yeah, there are some coastal places where I would not
They're not gonna
recommend
be there in a
purchasing
while.
property.
Right. Yeah.
But the great thing that I'm starting to see that I didn't see 10 years ago when I entered this field, or 12, almost 15 years ago now, I'm really dating myself how long I've been doing this work, but you see organizations coming together, you see countries coming together, making decisions, and really being focused on how do we achieve these sustainability wins and these sustainability gains as a network. That's one of the great things about sustainability. Well, there's competition around sustainability technology. There's not a lot of secret keeping. If somebody found something that works really great, they want to tell you about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
no.
That's great.
So I'm much more hopeful than I've been in years.
Good.
My eco anxiety has reduced substantially.
Okay.
What was the cartoon? Remember the eco?
Captain Planet?
Captain Planet.
Oh, I should have worn my
Before
Captain
your
Planet
time.
costume.
You have one.
Dude.
Learn something new on this.
You have two Captain Planet
Captain
costumes?
Planet.
Yes, because the first one I got didn't have the built-in muscles, and then I found one that had built-in muscles, so
So you kept the
I kept
other
them-
one.
I kept them
Kept the
both.
other one. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I needed a backup.
Always start with the built-in muscles. You
Yes.
know? Don't skip.
Absolutely.
That's my
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, that's your word of wisdom.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, snorting.
Well, we have. I appreciate you educating us.
Absolutely.
This is fun. We could do this. We could actually make this a Premier Power Hour
We could.
and not
we really
just
could.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I like it.
We have a segment that we typically do called "What's in the Box."
Ooh.
It's kind of a grab bag, icebreaker, maybe a dad joke, maybe a fun fact.
Ooh.
Oh, why don't before we do this? Well, let's just do our intro for it. This is "What's in the Box," sponsored by Premier Packaging.
Recyclable box.
This is
right.
in corrugated, which we learned yesterday. Well, you can correct us. That has over a 90% success rate of being recycled. Is that accurate?
Yeah. The corrugated recycling market is amazing. Like, it's super efficient.
I mean, you just look out on the floor. Not this building, the one where we're doing our manufacturing. I mean, every little piece of scrap gets sucked up
Oh,
and
yeah.
recycled. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
pretty,
Yeah, that system there is amazing.
yeah.
The prop for today of What's in the Box is a
Ooh.
watch, which Billy, thanks for letting me borrow
Oh,
that.
my watch. Thank you.
So the question for you today is there an activity that, in the meantime, or is it still working? Is there an activity out there that causes you to lose track of time, where just you start it and then you go, oh my gosh, it's been an hour, 2, 3 hours?
Oh gosh, yeah. I can get lost in a book real quick.
Yeah.
Always. Or hiking with my dog. I'm like, oh, I've gone for 5 miles and I need to go 5 miles back now.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. What do you like to read?
I read a lot of murder mysteries.
Okay.
Love a good
Nice.
murder mystery, and I read a lot of books about sustainability.
Okay.
Um,
Any book you want to plug for? I feel like we can plug a book.
Look, maybe
I feel like
we've already
that's-
said Amazon for the
Yeah.
first. I feel
I mean,
good that we were
sustainability, I
able
feel
to
like
say
we can-
Amazon on that
yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A book that you liked recently?
I just finished Who Killed Betty Gail Brown, and it's a local Kentucky mystery. Happened at the university where I went to school, Transylvania University, is where I did my undergraduate degree. So
I'm sorry, Transylvania.
Transylvania.
Yep. It's because it was the first college east of the Allegheny Mountains and the 16th oldest college in America. It was a college before Kentucky was a state, and so trans means through, vania means woods,
Yeah. And there's vampires.
and there's vampires.
I was gonna say, and you can
all the
get
professors
and
are
you
the
can get a
undead.
degree
That's right. That's
in
vampirology.
Yeah. I was gonna say vampirical studies, but I like vampirology.
Vampirology.
Okay, nice.
Oh.
Billy, for you?
Podcasting, of course, makes the time just
flies.
fly by
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
I like the reading. Reading, I agree with.
Yeah.
I need to get in. I need to check that book out.
It's very good.
I've found that I've run out of things to read, or I just haven't gotten any new books lately. And I usually would always just read before I go to bed because it
Yeah.
makes me
Yeah.
go to bed quickly. And so I've just been, and I get a lot of flack for this, but I've just been sitting on my phone reading Wikipedia. And
Okay.
I'll just,
Hey, that you
I'll
can
just
learn
bring
a
it
lot.
up, and they have various and so, oh, what are you reading? And it's like I have no idea about a dinosaur or
Yeah.
something,
Like I've gone
or
down a
some
rabbit hole.
16th century saint or something, and that's how I go to sleep. at
When I
night.
was in college, some library aide asked me if I'd ever played the Wikipedia game, and I was like, "What is that?"
You just bounce around, or
But it's you pick two different pages, so two topics completely unrelated to each other, and you try to see how few clicks it can take to get from one topic to the
to
other
the other.
topic.
I like that.
I like this.
So yeah,
Yeah.
you can do Kentucky and
6
cotton
degrees of-
candy, or
yeah.
16th century literature,
There you go.
stuff like that.
What about you? What makes time fly for
I thought that
Mr. Zach?
I thought that it was going to be creative to say a book, but that's what it is for me. I'd say also, and I don't do it enough, but journaling. I find that when I start to journal, that I'll look up and oh my gosh, so much time is.
No.
Yeah, I should probably get my feelings out more, and maybe then it wouldn't take so much time. I
You
don't know.
repress a lot.
You got it to live through life. That's maybe not the best advice, but anyways, advice for us is listen to this, check out the previous episode. Mackenzie, it's been great to have you on. Thank
Very
you
nice.
so much for
Mackenzie,
Absolutely.
thank you for your time.
Everybody can listen to this and do their part and move the needle a little bit,
Certainly.
more in the right direction. So,
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Well, I'm Zach. That's Billy. That's Mackenzie. That's all the time we have. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time. Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody.
Questions or ideas about this topic? If so, we'd like to hear from you. Please visit primpack.com/podcast to let us know what you think. Thanks.
Hey, everybody. What are you doing? Oh, yeah.
Here, you can spit it in this.
No,
I don't need this anymore.
Okay. Is that recyclable?
I mean, gum's not, but
Gum's not.
it
So I
just
should've just
it,
swapped.
it is compostable. I mean, it might take it a while, but it'll
should've
eventually
just-
break down.
Swallowed it.
All right, here we go. This is Sustainability Part 2.